Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to Swedish Air Force's Rank II tutorial and guide. In this episode I will give you an overview of every individual plane in the Swedish Rank II, and after going through them I will guide you through possible grind sequences and potential targets for talismans. The premium will also be looked at in this episode. Although the footage is RB, this guide will still be useful for other modes as well. I hope this will be a valuable resource for you and will help you in your decision making as you go through the tree. Make sure to give me your feedback in the comments below, and be aware that in the descriptions are not only the timestamps but also links to every individual plane review that I made. If you want further info on certain planes, you can look for it there. I hope you enjoy. Let's start the show off with a J20 sitting right here in rank 2, the first fighter. It is actually an Italian Reggiani 2000, which can be quite entertaining, these planes. No armor on this vehicle though, unfortunately, so easy to get pilot sniped on the plane. We've got the fuel tanks over here, which are self-sealing, nice and centralized underneath the pilot. So yeah, pretty good positioning there. And you have the two 12.7 Akon machine guns with 300 rounds per gun right here. Nothing too shabby, although I don't really like those guns, I have to be honest. Let's have a look at her. The J20, a Reggiani 2000 from the Italian line. Nice little bugger. What are the strengths in this plane at 2.0 battle rating? To start off with, she has climb rate. She can climb, and that is really nice. With a bit of whipping, a bit of abuse, she can be one of the higher planes, especially at her own battle rating or in down tiers. Very nice to have. The dive speed is also quite fantastic, and thus you can boom and zoom with it, although she does lock up a little bit in the roll rate. So it becomes difficult to get the guns on target, but the dive speed is really nice. And of course the maneuverability. This plane is quite maneuverable, and when you compare her to other 2.0 battle rating planes or planes around that monoplanes, she can outturn a lot of planes like the 109s. She can compete with Spitfires, she can outturn Yaks and MiGs and stuff like that. And the Italian C202s are also easily outmaneuvered by this plane. So yeah, that's a definite strength in this plane. Weaknesses, the durability. She has engine problems. When the engine get hit, it often dies very easily, and engine fires are also pretty prone to happen. So there is that. Fires and overall durability are not too great in the plane. And another weakness is the offensive guns, which I don't like at all. The offensive guns are not the magnificent 13.2mm Swedish machine guns, but they are the original Italian ones, 12.7, and they don't do the job very well. You get very mixed results in the plane, and of course if you get a good burst on a target it will usually still die, but you often get hits and mishaps, and I don't like that. So yeah, that's a definite weakness in the plane. What is the flight style of this plane? To start off with, boom and zooming, because of the climb rate, because of the initial advantage you get in this plane, it is very nice to boom and zoom. She also has a very nice top speed in a dive, which is fantastic, and you can outdive a lot of planes, especially at her battle rating. And below that, when you get to a full up tier, it becomes a little bit less fantastic, but still boom and zooming. And she can also turn fight. Especially in up tiers where there is no biplanes, you are often the most maneuverable plane, and you can use that to your advantage. So yeah, that is very nice. Is this plane competitive? I would say yes, absolutely. She maneuvers very nice, she booms and zooms quite well. So yes, she is competitive, although that does fall away fairly quickly in up tiers, where she becomes a little bit of a liability. Although the guns in the main part are. The flight model still performs. Is it fun, this plane? What is the fun factor? I would say medium. The guns often make you a little bit frustrated when you get hits. You set everything up well, but she doesn't deliver the killing blow. That can be frustrating. But all in all, she's fun. Is she recommended? How highly do you rate her? Well, I would say medium, no more than that. This plane has its advantages, but the guns make it a little bit lackluster sometimes, frustrating a little bit. But all in all, medium recommendation. So, continuing with one of my favorite birds in the Swedish line in the early ranks, the J-22A, fantastic plane, just like her bigger sister. Good guns, by the way, good speed. And armor protection, yes, the pilot is quite protected, armor plate here, the seat is quite thick, and this plate here is only 1.5, so that's not too spectacular, but at least there is some protection. We have the fuel tanks that are quite spaced out, so you do have the risk of catching a fire here and there, although they are self-sealing. And the guns are right here in the wings, two 13.2mm ACONs and the 8mm, 500 rounds for the 8mm, 250 for the 13. Yeah, so wing-mounted guns, not centrally in the fuselage, but still good firepower in this plane. Let's have a look at her. Now this, ladies and gentlemen, is a true fighter, isn't it? The J-22A at 2.3 battle rating. A unique Swedish plane that is awesome. It is a fantastic plane. What are the strengths in this plane? Well, to start off with, she is fast. She has speed, especially below 4,500 meters. Above that, she becomes a little bit less fantastic, but below that, it is a fast plane. That is good. The durability is also nice. She can take quite a bit of punishment before she gives in. And yeah, so that's nice to have on a fighter as well. The offensive guns are very good. You already heard about the famous Swedish 13.2mm machine guns. Very big punch on those machine guns. They feel like 20mm cannons, and yeah, they are fantastic. So you have two of them on this plane, and they quite help you with finishing planes off quickly and to give you the victory, which is nice. So you have finishing power in this plane. The turn time is also one of the major strengths in this plane. You have good turn time in the plane, very good with flaps. So that is very nice. That is not supported by roll rate, by the way. So that's why I'm saying turn time, not maneuverability. The handling in the dive is another strength in this plane. She kicks in only very late with the compression, and that is actually quite nice. So she stays very functional in the roll rate in a dive, and you can get guns on target that way because she's better than most planes at this battle rating at that. What are the weaknesses in this plane? After all these good things, the roll rate. Yeah, so the maneuverability, the turn time is not supported by the roll rate, so you got to take that into account when maneuvering. I mean, it's not super bad, but it's definitely a weaker point in the plane. The climb rate is also one of those things. You need to side climb in this plane to get the upper hand in altitude. There's many planes that can out climb this plane, and you got to side climb a little bit in it to get to her first major roll, the flight styles. What are the flight styles in this plane? Well, the first one, for which you need that altitude, is boom and zooming. She's very good at that, as I just said. And yeah, so you gotta climb, gotta get up there. A second flight style in this plane is the turn fighting. Turn fighter, you are very good at that in this plane. You can surprise a lot of planes with the maneuverability in this plane. And yeah, is this plane competitive? That would be yes with an exclamation mark. You can, you know, move between those two flight styles. Energy fighting is not one of this plane's major strengths, but she's very competitive with boom and zooming and turn fighting. A very good fighter this. What is the fun factor? I would say high. She has very few weaknesses. She's very strong, and it's quite enjoyable to fly this plane out and to wreak havoc on the enemy team. The 13mm, by the way, can kill medium tanks as well, so you can ground pound in this thing without bombs. Is she recommended? How highly do you rate her? I would say high. This is one of the planes you should fly when going through the ranks. She is absolutely gorgeous and very efficient. Moving on to the attacker line, or the dive bomber line, or however you want to call it. The B-17A, sitting at 2.0 battle rating in the tree. Let's have a look at her. She sits right here, coming after the B-17B, sitting right here in rank 2. This is almost more or less the same plane with some extra bomb options as her previous sister. The ammo plates are the same for protection. The fuel tanks are still nice and tiny, pretty decent. Not too often do you catch a fire in this thing. You have the forward-facing guns, which are still nice to have, and you have the gunner right here. All in all, pretty decent plane, but it becomes a little bit less at 2.0. Let's check her out. Coming to the dive bombers, the B-17A 2.0 battle rating. Well, this plane, guys, I'm mixed about this plane, I have to say. This is very nice at a 1.3 battle rating, you know, the earlier one, the B. But this A sits at 2.0 battle rating, and the flight model is still the same, and it is quite a bit less competitive, I would say. What are the strengths in this plane? Well, still the durability is quite nice. She's a sturdy plane and can take you home. She can take a lot of damage, which is good. The offensive guns are still nice. I cannot argue with that. They are still nice, but although the armament and the power of it is becoming quite a bit less effective at this stage. And the bomb loads are a little bit worked on. You have a few extra bomb loads, a few heavier bombs here and there, which is nice. The maneuverability is also still nice for an attacker. She can compete, and you can still use it as a support fighter. But again, she's at 2.0 now, not 1.3, so it's less good at that. What are the weaknesses in the plane? Well, it's definitely the speed now. She's much slower compared to the fighters she will face, especially in up tiers. Acceleration has become a weakness. Once you get low and slow, it is a problem. And the climb rate becomes a bit of a problem at this stage as well, because you have so much better to face in this plane now. What is the flight style in the B-17 now? Well, you're still a dive bomber and an attacker. You can do close air support as well. You have varied bomb loads that you can use and that you can use to your advantage. The close air support role in tank RB can also be quite nice. As I've heard from people, she's quite sturdy there as well. But all in all, at 2.0 battle rating, it becomes less and less competitive compared to the 1.3 B-17B, which was absolutely magnificent and one of the better planes in rank 1. This plane is actually the weakest plane for me in rank 2. And that is mainly due to the plane being usually the same in the flight model, and well, the battle rating jumping up quite a bit actually. Is the plane competitive then, you would say? I would say it still is. So yes, but barely. Barely. It is at the edge of its possibilities at 2.0 battle rating. And you get a lot more opposition that is better. And yeah, the plane loses quite a bit of the allure that the B-17B had as a fighter, where you could be almost competitive there with some fighters. What is the fun factor in the plane? I would say medium, especially in up tiers. You get a lot of tiers in this plane. Becomes a lot less fun to fly this plane out compared to his sister. Maybe I shouldn't compare it that much, but still, I have the memory of the B, and the A, well, much less attractive. Is she recommended? How high do you value her? I would say medium, and I would actually say skip her if you can. You don't have to fly this. If you want to spade her, fine, but you already had your fun in the B in rank 1, and at this battle rating she will give a lot more frustration, unfortunately. We're looking at the bomber of rank 2 in Sweden, the B-18A. What a fantastic plane this is, bloody hell. 2.7 battle rating, the highest plane in this rank, sitting after the B-3C, right here in the tree. The B-18A, fantastic plane. I'm in love with this plane. Armor protection, look at that. Isn't that fantastic for an early bomber? Good protection for the pilots and the gunner here. It's quite nice. Gotta love it. The fuel tanks are all bunched up here, quite centralized. I like it, although it's if you get hit there, man. They're all self-sealing though, so that is good. You have this thing as well, which is brilliant. The 13.2mm Akan machine gun with 300 rounds. And that forward-facing gun makes this thing quite scary. Apart from that, she's decently maneuverable and quite fast. Let's have a look at her. We're looking at a bomber, the B-18A, the bomber of rank 2, and what a bomber she is. There is not many better bombers out there, I gotta say. I looked at it a little bit. It's not the Heinkel 111s at the German ranks. It is not the DB3, I believe, for the Russians at 2.7. This plane has so much to speak for itself. You shouldn't press the wrong buttons, by the way, as I did there. She has speed. What are the strengths in this plane, actually? Speed is the first thing. It's a fast plane. You can get the hell out of there, especially in down tiers, which is nice. For a second run, good to grind. The maneuverability is another thing. This thing has a roll rate and a turn time that is almost unbelievable. She becomes a light heavy fighter once she has dropped her bombs, which is fantastic. And she has a forward-facing gun. So, offensive guns, magnificent. The 13.2 fantastic Swedish miracle gun. You have it on this thing. And 300 rounds, and she's quite the fighter, I have to say. Then, of course, you have the gunners, which are also equipped with the 13.2mm gun, and they can be quite lethal. So yeah, she has a good spread of strings, this plane. Does she have any weaknesses, you would say? Well, the bomb loads. The bomb loads are not fantastic comparatively towards other bombers at this battle rating. So yeah, you gotta take that into account. The bomb loads are not fantastic, but they are not competitive, let's say. Let's keep it simple. The climb rate in this first B-18 is also not one of the strengths. She doesn't climb very well and doesn't get back to altitude like her later sister does. So that's one of the weaknesses in this one. What is the flight style in this plane? Well, she's a close air support mainly, I would say. I always attack columns with this thing, try to get back to base for a second run, and if not, then I will use her as a heavy fighter with the 13mm gun. Don't use those for soft targets, that's a shame. You can actually shoot down fighters with this plane. She can function as a support fighter. Next to that, of course, you can equip the bigger bombs and go for base bombing if you want to be safe, and maybe from that point you can angle her as a boom and zoomer, because she's actually quite fast and efficient in that sense. Is she competitive? I would say yes. This plane is a lot of fun as a bomber. She's so versatile. You can go close air support close to the ground and shoot at attackers. You can go base bombing and then use this plane as a boom and zoomer. It sounds ridiculous, but it is actually very possible and very efficient. What is the fun factor in this plane? I would say high. It is so fun to scare some fighters with this thing. Many players are not actually aware that this plane is so good, so maneuverable, and has a forward-facing gun. So that's fun. Is it recommended? I would highly recommend this bomber to you. This is one of my favorite bombers, if not my favorite bomber at this battle rating. As I said, the B-34 for the American line at 2.7 comes close. Maybe is even a little bit better, with the armament, forward-facing armament being even much more efficient. But this plane is highly recommended. It's a lot of fun to fly this plane, and I can highly recommend it to you. We have arrived at the one premium the Rank II Sweden has to offer. It's the Mörkö-Morane, sitting at 1.7 battle rating. Well, it's right here in the tree. The only one. It's the compared to this one, I would always take this one for the early ranks if you want to unlock it via premiums. But yeah, this is a good plane, guys. It's absolutely fantastic, I have to say. The 1.7 battle rating. There is no armor on the plane though, unfortunately. We do have a big fuel tank, but that's the only one. So the wings are free, and that's also actually quite nice. You have the Barrison machine gun, which does the most damage right here, and then the 7.5mm French machine guns right there. So yeah, let's have a look at her. We have arrived at the last plane of Rank 2 Sweden, the Mörkö-Morane Premium. Fantastic little premium at 1.7 battle rating that is actually very attractive to look at. Unlike the Gladiator Premium of Rank 1, this premium is very viable. What are the strengths in this plane? The speed to start off with, 1.7 battle rating, she is quite fast and does very well in the speed department. At her battle rating, especially at her own battle rating and down tiers, she is almost unsurpassed in the speed department. Performance wise, she is also very good with good energy retention and acceleration. She's a good energy fighter thus, and she can boom and zoom very well as well. The climb rate is a strength in the plane. You usually end up in the higher echelons and will be able to boom and zoom with this plane, and that is a very good advantage in the plane. Durability, aside of that, is also, she's a sturdy little bugger and is very capable, and she can take quite a bit of damage before she starts faltering. So this is nice. What are the weaknesses in this plane? Does it have any weaknesses? Well, the roll rate. The roll rate is below par, not very good. So yeah, the turn time isn't spectacular, but it's not a weakness. But the roll rate especially is not too great. And she rolls a bit off center as well, so that can be quite devastating when you try to roll to get a good angle on a target. You roll off center. Keep that in mind. You need a little bit more time, so you need to do that in time. You need to adjust in time. If you do it at the latest point, you will often miss shots. No web on altitude. Yeah, there is that. The plane doesn't have war emergency power above 3750. That's where the web drops off this plane. So at the higher altitudes you have no war emergency power, and that can be a downside. So gotta try to use this plane below 3750. Usually it happens, of course, in the lower ranks, but it is a definite weakness. The flight style in the plane. Well, I would start off with boom and zooming in the plane. She can climb very well, especially up to 3750, but I mean, she keeps that up a little bit towards 4500 meters in where she can outclimb other players. Will be able to outclimb you beyond that, but often the battle is already engaged before that time. Energy fighting is also a thing this plane does very well, and you gotta use it as such. Especially on the lower altitudes, she does very well in that. Don't start turn fighting in this thing. It is will not be to your benefit. But if you use it as a boom and zoomer and an energy fighter, this will be a very good contender for you. Is she competitive? I would say yes with an exclamation mark. This plane is very competitive and very good. Although you see that roll off center there again. What is the fun factor in this plane? I would say high with an exclamation mark. Very fun to fly this plane. Very versatile with the boom and zooming and the energy fighting. And again, certain planes you can also turn, but you gotta be very, not against this plane. Is he recommended? Yes, highly. If you want to get a premium in rank 1 or 2, you should get this one. This one is very good. Hey guys, so here we are for the guide section of this tutorial and the tips I have to give you for this rank. Let's have a look. There are 5 planes in Sweden rank 2, and there are 2 that you can skip outright. The J20 and the B17A are not good enough. I would advise you to skip those planes at this battle rating, and some people say, oh, but Jengar this and Jengar that. Now those 2 planes can be skipped if you want to be efficient in your grinding. So get to the J22A if you are a fighter pilot, put a talisman on there and you can unlock the whole tree with that. There's a possibility for fighter pilots. That's the route I would advise you. Go to the J20, get the J22A, start spraying this thing, fly it, enjoy it, unlock the tree. Fighter pilots are done then. Although this is something to think about, but we'll get to that. Bomber pilots, attacker pilots, don't go into this one. It is not as good as the B at 1.3. It's 2.0 battle rating, up tiers to 3.0. It's just not the greatest use of your time, let's say that. This thing though, this thing is good, man. It can be a support fighter, it can base bomb, you can go after columns, it is fast, It is maneuverable. It has a 13.2 millimeter machine gun facing to the front with 300 rounds. That can be quite efficient. The gunners are good. This is your place to go in this rank. Put a talisman on this thing if you love bombing. And man, I mean, but not only bombing. As I said, you can use it as a support fighter. It is fantastic. So I would go for the B18A and unlock the tree with that. That is the second option. And it's the first option if you're a bomber / attacker pilot. Then we have the premium, the Mörkö-Morane. It is a very competitive, very good premium at a 1.7 battle rating in rank 2. As I said in the rank 1 review, you should skip the gladiator premium. It's not worth your money. Just get the hell through it, and if you want a premium, you can get this one. Now the next premium is also very good, this one. But there's a huge gap in battle rating there, and you can use this one. It's very efficient. You get nice rewards in this thing. Also Silver Lions, enough to buy everything. So if you have and want to spend money, you should go for this one. Talismans options are the B18A and the J22A as the fighter. But if you want a premium, go for the Mörkö-Morane. It's absolutely worth your money. It's a fantastic grinder, and it will help you get through the early parts of the Swedish tree. So it's quite simple. There's not many options here, but that is what it is, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video. Do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.